Hello all. This is the first video in the series of videos that I'm planning to do on interview questions or any of the coding challenges that I come across online. So these kind of videos will be three stages. So first we'll discuss the question. Next we'll try to gradually build upon the initial thought process so that we'll slowly approach to the solution, and finally most optimized and best solution. If you are eager to go from question to a solution, just to skip to the timestamps. I will probably add them later. Coming to the question, this is a table, and suppose I have a table with three columns, and source and destination contains city names, and distance contains the value, that is the distance between those source and destination. Now the expectation is I have to find out the maximum distance between any two cities that are present in this table. Let's take an example. Suppose here Bangalore and Chennai, the distance between them is 300, but there is another row that is Chennai and Bangalore, the distance is 400. Of course the distance between A to B is same as B to A, but let's assume for this use case there are two routes between these two cities, and each route is one way. So let's assume that, and the expectation is for similar endpoint cities we have to find out, we'll have to have a column which gives us the information of maximum distance between similar end cities. So the expectation is this. Suppose let's take this Bangalore Delhi, we have 2000, and if we want to take the road from Delhi to Bangalore, the distance is 2500. Now this column should contain the maximum distance, and of course the same this one Bangalore Kochi has two different distances. This column will have maximum one. This is the expectation, and this is the input. We'll have to write a query to give us this expectation. Right now on initial analysis of this question, the question seems to be simple, because the first thought that crosses our mind is we can just apply max of group by max aggregate operation on this distance column by applying group by on source and destination columns, so that it can find out similar cities and apply max on those values itself. But in this data set it doesn't work, because of course it works for these kind of data set, Bangalore and Kochi 500 400, it definitely gives us the max of 500 if we just apply max, because source and destination for these two routes are like exactly same. But in these if we take these two data sets, source and destination are not in a some predetermined way, like Bangalore is there here and Chennai is there, and here in source Chennai is there, and here destination Bangalore is there. So when we apply group by on these two columns, compiler doesn't see Bangalore and Chennai is same as Chennai and Bangalore. So we have to come up with a solution, or we have to come up with a logic where for these kind of data subset, we have to perform a operation on all these rows, where we have to take one row as standard and remaining similar rows we have to perform operations, so that we'll bring the same names to their respective sites. So somewhat similar to this, I mean exactly to this. What our expectation is, we have to bring Bangalore here and Chennai here in these two rows subset, Bangalore here, Delhi here, or vice versa. So the logic for this seems to be simple, but when we try to think of the tools that are present in SQL to actually achieve this, it is definitely achievable, but it slightly becomes complex. Now, rather than trying to build upon this our solution on based upon this max aggregate function, let's try to uh, let's try to see a different kind of solution. What I'm trying to do here is, uh, let's try to join this table within itself, so that similar rows data will come into a single row, and when that happens, I can perform an in-row comparison operation on two distances that I get, and finally I will be able to compute the maximum distance within the row itself. What I'm saying is, let's take this query. I'm trying to join this table within itself by taking t1 dot source equal to t2 dot destination. I'm trying to match this with this and this with this on join operation. The intention is, if I get this resultant data set, see this Bangalore and Chennai has been shifted to the same row, that is its similar endpoints row. Right now I have this 400 and 300 in the single row. I can apply a if statement or any comparison operation on these two rows, I mean on these two values that are present in the single row. I can compute a new column which contains the maximum distance. That is my intention. So if I have to perform that, we can notice that some of the data is missing here from the original data set. That is, this Bangalore and Kochi data is missing. The reason is because of this join condition. We are trying to compare source with destination. We are trying to equate source with destination and destination with source. But this doesn't this will create a problem, because this has already been properly segregated towards its name wise. So this will not be equal to this, and this will not be equal to this. So that is why this is creating a problem. If I want to get even those rows here, it's a simple solution. We can instead of inner join, we can use left join or right join. Let me show the resultant data set here. Along with these rows, I am getting these Bangalore and Kochi rows with some null values here, but though these null values won't be a problem for us to be able to compute maximum distance. Let's see how. Okay, we have this resultant data set. Right now we'll go through our initial plan of comparing the distance within the row itself by using either case statement or if statement. When I use this, okay, the resultant data set contains max of 300 and 400 is 400, and these two rows are similar in the same way that these two values in the columns are similar to this. So 300 400 max is 400, 400 300 max is 400. I know there is some bit of redundancy, but in the end we'll try to eliminate that redundant information. Next, if we see this row, yeah, it is properly coming 2000 and 2500. Max is 2500. Now coming to this Bangalore and Kochi, this 500 and 400, we are, instead of null, we are expecting values here. This can be simply solved by adding one more condition in this case statement, that is, along with this comparison for max distance, we'll add one more condition to check for if t2 distance is null. If it is null, then just simply add t1 dot distance. Okay, here the problem of null is solved, but this is not what we are expecting. Max of 500 and 400 should be reflected here, that is 500 and 500, but it is just giving 500 and 400. Okay, now Now, as this complete data set can be segregated into two kind of subsets. The one with the jumbled data for similar cities, those are 1 to 4, and second one is proper data, 5 to 6. So now the problem is with the proper data. The With proper data, there is no problem with applying max aggregate function, so that I can just get 500 out of this 500 and 400. And these things will anyhow, even though these things when I apply max will be considered as individual rows rather than similar rows, it's not a problem. I already have the max information here. So right now I will apply max function to this complete column, so that I will solve the problem of these two rows. So yeah, this is the data set. With this as derived data set, I will apply one more logic outside the derived data set. That is, I will select all columns. Along with that, I am applying max on this column over partition by source 1 and destination 1. This over and partition by, this syntax is a window function syntax. It's similar to group by. The only difference is group by, group by and this window operations we will use for aggregate functions. The difference is group by, when we have to use, we will have to group by all the columns that we are trying to display using select statement. But this window function, what it does is, even though we are selecting some many columns to be displayed, we can select a subset of those columns to apply a group by for some aggregate function. So window functions are more advantageous compared to group by functionality. So I'm using window function here. Let's see the resultant output. Now if we see output here, so the distances, the maximum values 400, 400, 2500, 2500 and 500, 500. Previously it was there as 500, 400. Now this Bangalore Kochi issue has been solved. Now we have the output. All we have, the only thing that is remaining is select the only columns that we need and forget about, ignore the columns that we don't need. That is what I will be doing here. Now this is the expectation, this is the solution using the query. Now even though this is working as a solution for this kind of for this particular data set, you might have already noticed that this solution is not optimized enough, because for each data subset, wherever we are finding problem, we are immediately trying to find localized solution for that particular problematic subset and including that in our solution query. This kind of approach might work if our data set is just 6 rows, but in reality there will be some billions of rows. So the feeling of this solution not being a optimized solution is there. So what I have done is I have tried to discuss this solution with a colleague of mine. He has given a very simple solution for our very simple and optimized solution for this problem. That is, he went back to our initial question of, okay, we can simply use max operation on this distance, but the only problem is this jumbled similar endpoints have to be properly standardized for us to use group by functionality. So instead of all these sideway solutions, he tried to work on this solution itself. We initially thought, okay, the solution will be complex because how will we communicate which row to be taken as standard, and which other similar rows to be operated on to bring to the standard format. So that kind of communication to the compiler, we thought it was difficult, but uh, with the suggested solution to me, that was the suggested solution is this one. So instead of trying to figure out which is the standard row, which are the non-standard rows that have to be operated on to comply the standard, we'll try to come up with a universal rule. That is, we'll try to come up with a universal rule that will be operated on each and every row. That is, this length will take the length of each value. Whichever value has the highest length, we'll keep that in the source. I mean, instead of source and destination, we'll talk in terms of city1 and city2. Whichever has highest length, we'll keep it in city1. Whichever has lowest length, we'll keep it in city2. So that was the idea. Okay, let's see if that when this logic is applied, what happens is this Bangalore Chennai will stay the same, and this particular row will be operated on to just move the data so that the proper names will be in proper side. Let once all the data has been in a standardized format, then on top of that resultant data set we can apply this max aggregate function. Then it's easy to get the max distance out of it. Let's see the output for this. See, this is properly giving 400, 2500, 500. That is what our expectation is, 400, 2500, 500. And of course this is not exactly same to our expectation, because we wanted it to look like this. We want to have even this data set to be visible. So it's keeping this as a derived data set, we can build on top of that again by using this. This is our this is our pre-discussed logic. This resultant data set will have this standardized city1 and city2, where all the names are properly segregated. We'll use these two columns to apply max aggregate function on this column, and we'll use these two columns to show it in terms of this expectation output. So now that is what I have written the code here. Now this exactly solves our question, that is exactly to the expectation. Still 400, 2500, 500. That is our expectation. And definitely there are some edge use cases where even this logic also fails along with my logic. That is, this logic of joining the table within itself will fail during the cases where this was working when there is exactly one more similar row. But what if there are 3 or 4 similar rows with similar endpoints? Then this logic is completely useless during that time. During those cases, this is very optimized solution. And of course, even this has an edge use cases where it fail. That is, what if source and destination length is same? So during that time, what happens? So these are the solution for the question. If you have any better solution, just ping in the comment section. That's it for today. Bye.